tonight, I was just overwhelmed with gratitude and appreciation. Just take a look around. Look at the number of mighty, powerful, Daddy, I see you. Talking about mighty, talking about powerful. Okay, like look around. We're here today to mark a really special event. And it is Women's Equality Day. How many of you know how long it's been since women were granted the right to vote? Take a guess. Come in. How long? 50 years? 60 years? 1920. Women were granted the gift of voting because we mattered at that point. It's only been 103 years. It's not that long. And so while we have made immense inroads and we have accomplished a ton, you feel that, right? You with me? Yes. There's still work to be done. Is that right? Yes. And that's why we're here today. We're here today as a united team of women and male allies supporting us because we recognize that there's work to be done. Now, before we begin, I just want to acknowledge my suit. I had picked out this suit, I don't know, 8 months ago, and I didn't have the intent of it being for today. It just so happened that I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna wear? What suit, what suit, what suit? And it's this one, and I'm like, how appropriate. It's hot pink, it's Barbie time right now, and I don't know how many of you have seen the movie. Raise your hand if you've actually seen the movie. I'm hearing it's an amazing movie. So many of us have seen the movie, and look, everyone has difference of opinions in terms of how they interpret and how they will receive the messaging, but I wanted to share a few key messages that do relate to what we're doing today. And that is that in the movie of Barbie, all women can be anything that they desire to be. There were no limitations. No obstacles. There was no one in Barbie Land saying, you can't do that. We have some young ladies in the house today. Shout out to Alexandra. That's my daughter. Shadali. She's my other daughter. She don't know what she is. We have young girls represented here today that while we recognize that we've come a long way and we recognize also that there's work to do, these young girls are the ones that are going to walk through the pathway that we're creating for them. So today's messaging is all about creating unity. When we think about the theme, rising together, we all win, it's not about women trying to get ahead of the other woman because it's the only one opportunity that there is. It is about supporting one another because when that woman makes it, it creates an inroad for us. So we should be helping them. We should be celebrating them and not pulling them back. You feel me? Who's feeling that? Yes. All right. So we have an amazing lineup of speakers. This is going to be educational. This, I hope, is inspirational. And I also hope that it creates a movement, that it actually sparks something in you to say, wow, we have come a long way, but I recognize that even in my day-to-day interactions, there is work to be done, and I can enable the right type of actions that need to happen to support all women to rise, right? And men, for your support, we thank you for being here and helping us pave that way. You know, there's often this notion of there are men like Jack, I'm just gonna call him out, for me, on a personal level, that from the moment that we've met, he's like, let me help you here. Let me make this connection for you. Let me invite you here. Opening every possible door without me even asking. We need more of that. We don't need the silent majority of men that sit and watch it all happen and don't lend their voice, don't lend their time, don't lend any of their energy. So we're going to start to shift that narrative today. So, who's ready for a phenomenal program coming right up? Yeah! Let's go. Let's do this. No better way to start this program than for me to invite a power influencer in the community of Lawrence. Her name is Vilma Martinez Dominguez. Let's hear it for her. She has been in many organizations. I'm trying to find my notes. She is currently in a role in which she leads a very significant level of work with the, not good. There you go. Does that work? Yeah. All right. It just needs to be proper, Vilma, because you deserve that. Vilma has served on various coalitions and advisory groups to help advance social justice. This is a core value of hers. She lives, breathes, speaks. I mean, everything is about advancing social justice. And she is doing that in the gender, health, equality, locally, regionally, and statewide. She's got an amazing background, an amazing presence in Lawrence and beyond. I think that it's best for you to just get to know her as she presents today a topic that's so important, which is, what is the difference between equality, equity, right? Definitions matter. Do we even know what we're talking about when we say, we want to be equal? What does that mean? Well, we want equity. Well, what does that mean? They're not the same. So let's bring up Vilma, who today is the COO, but transitioning to CEO of a organization here in Lawrence. Vilma, come on up.
Thank you, everyone. To God be the glory, because that's my inspiration. Okay, thank you. God is my inspiration to do all the work that I do. Those are my beliefs. I'm sure everybody has different ones, but I'm not standing here by coincidence. I'm standing here because it was meant to be. There's a purpose in me being here today, and I hope that by the end of the very, very great presentation, they gave me 10 minutes to talk about my journey. Good luck with that. I'm 53 years old. But I'm hoping that what I'm able to share with you today has a meaning, connects with you, and you're able to take something really strong away from today and really powerful, because that's what we're here for, right? So thank you for the invitation. For me, it's super treat, super privileged to be here among so many other equally powerful women, because we're all powerful in our own right, and more powerful men, because they have the courage to come here today. So thank you. I'm able to share some of my experiences and my journey, both personal and professionally. I think it's the best way that I can actually elicit the way that I have been illuminating a path of equity throughout my work, throughout my life, as the oldest of 6 siblings, and as someone who's lived in Lawrence for 30 years and counting. So I'm very blessed to be here. So if we can hit next. Well, maybe do you have a clicker? Maybe I can do it myself? No, more. Do you have a clicker? Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. So I figure out that I will title it my journey as an Afro-Latina. That's the way I identify, fighting for equity, justice, and advancement, not only for me and my family, but also for the people in marginalized communities, people like me. And so I think it's important, before we start talking about my journey, that we talk about terminology, because terminology is super important. And I've seen sometimes where this equality and equity word is used interchangeably, and it's not the same by any means. And so if you look at equality, equality is really when you give everybody the same thing. And not all of us start at the same starting point, right? We all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different opportunities. So if you give everybody the same thing, yeah, it's equality, but it's not justice, because we all need different things to succeed. And then you look at equity, which is what we're trying to work for or towards, and it's when everybody actually, you look at their needs and you provide the support accordingly, which is great. You're given, some people need more, some people need less in order to be successful in life. But what we're not looking at is we're not taking away the barriers. And when you remove all the barriers to someone's opportunity, then we don't have to think about anything, right? It's everybody just doesn't think about, well, I need more or less, but actually you are addressing those root causes and those systemic and oppressive systems that we operate within. And then now that's what I love justice. And I think I've done that since I was a young woman, because I'm the oldest of 6, I'm a female, and I'm sure that in every family, some of you may experience the same things, but I always question the status quo. Why can't we eat until my dad gets home? Why do I get this piece of chicken and not that piece of chicken? And I thought about taking it away from the plate many times. But it's this cultural practices and belief systems that we grow up in that then we tend to internalize them. And then puts us in a different position, and that's not ideal. And so it's not that it's wrong or it's right, it's just that it's a practice that really promotes inequalities. And that's what we're trying to fight, right? We're trying to be at the table. So I think the best way for us to talk about this, next, I have different slides. This is different terminology, and I'm not gonna have time to go over it, but I'll be happy to share my slides with you. Please feel free to share them. Why? Because all of these things that you see here, these are all different definitions, and they work interchangeably. So if you look at prejudice, it's preconceived opinions that is not based on reason or actual experience. You just formulate an opinion about someone because they look a certain way, they eat certain things, they live in certain communities. That's prejudice. Racism, we have to talk about it. It's the ugly name, but you cannot fight for equity if you're not acknowledging that these things do exist. And even though you may not identify as such, we're living within systems that promote that same thing. So racism, it's a process by which systems and policies, actions and attitudes create inequitable opportunities and outcomes for people based on race. That's racism. It's important. Oppression is when you use that power and you try to dominate another group based on your power and your privilege. And so you benefit yourself, or a group benefits from that oppression. And then we all have different identities, right? So I'm a female, I'm an Afro-Latina, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a sister, I'm a colleague, I'm a friend, I identify as heterosexual, my pronouns are she, her, hers. But when all those things come together, guess what happens? You experience different types of discriminations. And it just compounds more and more the more identities you throw in the mix. So class, race, gender overlap, that's what happens. And then discrimination is an unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people on the grounds of ethnicity, age, sex, and disability. And racism is socially constructed, and so we can work every day to deconstruct it. And that's what I've decided to do with my life. It doesn't matter where I'm at, what chair I'm sitting in, what role I have, that's what I've been trying to do. So the best way to show you that is this. I think no one, I've been in the field of health equity for a long time, but the social determinants of health, or the socioeconomic factors, or their root causes, they're all the same thing. What are those underpinnings? What are those things that make it very difficult for a human being to thrive? And so you're looking at this, and you're looking at what? You're looking at healthy child development. For healthy child development to happen, you need to have access to good education, which I'm very happy we have an early learning, early Head Start and Head Start programs where I'm at. That's super important. Health, you need to have access to health, quality health care. But you also need to live in a community that is safe, that offers you open spaces where you can be with your family. You need to be in a community that you feel socially connected. So usually it's people that either look like you or people that you have affinity with, right? You need to be able to have a job that pays well. You need to be able to have ability to pay for your housing, right? All those things work together. And so whoever came up with this term, which is a research term, hit the nail in the head, because it is all those things that together create an environment where you can actually thrive. And so all of us, at some point in our lives, have missed 1, 2, 3, many of these. And then that's why one person's experience is different from another. And that's why we need to fight for justice, so that everybody has the access to all these things. So next. And so I decided, I use a funny picture, but I decided to use 2 ways to really talk to you about my path towards equity. Because all of my identities boil down to maybe personal and professional. That's the 2 ways that I want to show you how I've experienced it. And I chose that picture because I was 17 years old there. It was a pivotal time in my life because my family had moved to Manchester, New Hampshire. In 1987, I'm 17 years old, just graduated high school, had my friends, I live in the Caribbean, beautiful weather, and then we came here on October 31st, they came first, and that day, and from that day on, is when I became an adult, because I had to work, because I had to do all these things. And I think that's a pivotal time because my experiences at that point were very, very, they sort of helped shape who I am today. So when we're talking about the challenges, and the social determinants of health, and the socioeconomic factors, and the root causes, all those things, those were the ones that I faced when I came here. So 17 years old, don't know anything about the system, barely speak English, got a job 3 days because I don't sit. That's one of my things. I have developed this hunger for life that even back then, I look back, I came to this country on a Saturday, no speaking English, went Monday to apply for a job, and Wednesday I started working as a nurse's aide. And so you can only imagine the ageism and the racism and the discrimination that I felt, but I didn't put a name, I didn't know what it was. But I was the youngest, and within 4 months I became the best CNA there was there, and the teacher of all the new CNAs that came in. I'm like, and no one speak English. So I was making $5.60. So obviously I had to live with my mother. Housing instability, I didn't have any independence because I had to live with my parents. I had no car, so I had to walk in the snow. I'd never been in the snow in my life, and now I have to walk 7 blocks to go to work every day because that's what happened. And that happened because I married at 17, yes, full-on marriage, wedding, everything, at that point, and I needed to petition my then husband, who I did at the age of 18. I petitioned my husband and brought him in. My ex-husband now, sorry. Social isolation and loneliness. No one tells you about that. If anybody has moved from one place to another place, that they don't know anybody, nobody tells you about the isolation, about the lack of vitamin D because we're used to the sun, about the lack of networks, because I came to Manchester, there was 3 families who spoke Spanish and 2 of them was us. And I was tired of talking to my family. So nobody tells you that. And a few years back in Lawrence, we did a study on mental health and depression among Latinos. And the high levels of depression and stress and anxiety that exist among new immigrants, it's skyrocketed. And that is the sole reason why when you start feeling sick emotionally and mentally, eventually it starts to manifest physically. And when you don't have access to healthcare or the right things, what happens? You become chronically ill. And when you become chronically ill, you can't work. And when you can't work, you can't live because you can't pay your bills. Education, I had a high school degree. That's all I had, a high school diploma. Limited healthcare access. My first medical appointment was made with a mail. I was 17 and petrified. That's all it was. Racism and discrimination, I'm going to tell you that. I already mentioned it. But one thing that I did take away, because in life, you go through situations and experiences with a purpose. And if you don't have that attitude towards your challenges, you're not going to be successful. So what did I do? I became, the increased awareness about these things. Saying, I'm not gonna be like my parents, I wanna do better. Strength, resiliency, empowerment, resourcefulness, self-reliance, all those things I learned in that process. Professionally, next. I hear the music coming. Very uneasy. Told you it was gonna be hard. Professionally, I have had the blessing of having so many opportunities. I have worked as a certified nurse assistant when I started, but I have worked at the YWC of Northeastern Mass for almost 25 years, and I did a lot of health equity and social justice there. I taught men who were abusive because I was curious what was the other end. I was working with the females, what happens with the men? And I taught men, Latino men, for 17 years, just so that I can educate the other side of the problem. I created and co-funded the Mayor's Health Task Force, which promotes health equity, still around. And now I work where it's an anti-poverty agency, which the root causes, remember them? And then I have sat down in so many coalitions. And all those coalitions have not been because they have had a purpose. Like I'm one of the founders of the Mass Women of Color Network, which help promote, advocate, support women to leadership opportunities beyond just being an advocate. They came and we helped them get to the next level. And then I was nationally part of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation for 2 years. That was amazing. And then as I take on this new CEO role, I'm going to be sitting at the Lawrence Partnership table, which has public-private partnerships to promote community and economic development. I'm going to be sitting as, I guess I was voted as a vice chair of the Mass High Merrimack Valley Workforce Board, which is going to be talking about how come the programs that you have and the trainings that you have are not meeting the needs of the people that we have. And so I think that that's something that we need to get. That's going to be one of my biggest challenges. And then the last one will be Lawrence General Hospital, part of their community diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is changing the culture of the entire hospital. And hopefully after January, I'm going to be sitting there as the board of trustee member. So I'm looking forward to that. That's how you make change. And so the last thing I did, which was one of the hardest things I've done in my life, was run for mayor. I ran for mayor in 2021. I never ran for office ever. I became third on the list, which I didn't do too shabby. Was the only one who had 2 national and 2 state endorsements. Emily's List endorsed me. Barbara Harris Foundation endorsed me. The Mass Women, I don't remember another legislative women at the State House endorsed me, and I had 1 senator and 2 state representatives endorse me. I didn't win because it wasn't my time, but it was God's purpose for me to go through that very difficult thing so that I can today stand here and make change where I'm at and help my people, my community. And I don't mean my people Latinos, I mean my people, my low-income people, my marginalized people. So last, I want to walk away with this. I want to leave you, I think you skipped one. Oh, can I go back to one? Oh, back. I had a list of takeaways. I think that is the most important thing I can leave you with. And I'm hoping that you can find it. It goes before that slide. No, after that. No, that one. Is it? Yeah, no, that's not it. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. But some of the things I want to tell you to walk away. Be fierce. Don't be scared. If you're not scared, it's not big enough. Find mentors. Be a mentor. That's what I've done all my life. Mentor women, men, anybody that I can to get to their next step. Don't give up. Rest, reflect, recharge, resume. Those are the 4 things. Don't do that. Keep going. Don't fight all the battles. Only fight the important ones. Because you'll get tired. This is a journey, not a destination. We're never going to end poverty. We're never going to end discrimination. We're never going to end injustice. So we do our little bit every day. Celebrate your small wins. Like she said, Lou said earlier, celebrate your small wins. And I can't remember, there's a full list, but I want to get it to you because my time is up and she's playing the music. But if I leave you with something, is this: you're fierce. And know your rights, know your value, negotiate, negotiate. Negotiate. We're poor. We're awful negotiating for ourselves. And to the men that are in the room, make space at the table. And to other women who are here, make space at the table because it's needed. If you don't have our voices, you're not going to be able to move on, or your agency, corporation, organization is not going to move forward. But if you don't make space, you'll make it, because if you're not at the table, you're part of the menu. Thank you.
To have individuals like Vilma, but you can feel, right? You can feel radiating out of her being her commitment to this work. So, Vilma, I know that I represent this entire community here and beyond. Thank you for your fierce advocacy for us. Thank you. So, we're going to get ready for the panel discussion. We're going to pull up some chairs and get ready for that. I'm very excited. So as we're pulling those chairs, our panelists can come up. We're going to continue the conversation, but we're going to hear it from different perspectives. You're going to see a range of perspectives and experiences coming up. And as we're getting ready, I want to do a few shout-outs to our sponsors who are here in support. So I have the mighty team of Abastis, who are in the house right over there. They have been tremendously supportive. They too represent our community as Latinos and our, for me, family. So thank you for all of your support. Thank you for what you've done to help us have this moment. For my friends at Rapid Microbiosystems, there you are. I used to work at Rapid Microbiosystems, so I also feel it's an extension. Thank you for your support, Chris. Thank you for your advocacy to this organization that is a sponsor to us. We have Luke Jackson, Benefits in HR, who are right here. I talked about Jack already, but my dear friend Stephanie, who is always side by side with me and sometimes like giving me a little kick, go, like don't quit, keep going, go. Thank you. My beloved friend, and she is a powerhouse in herself, but she represents the Green Evolution Corporation, Zoraida Rosado. I want to say thank you for everything you do for the community and for your sponsorship. And please have a seat. And I understand that it's Zoraida's birthday today. Why don't you give her a shout out? Happy birthday, Zoraida. A little something to recognize you today. Should we sing? I don't know. I'm going to do two choruses. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Zoraida. Happy birthday to you. Listen, this girl loves sweets. I've never met anybody that loves sweets so much. And I'm like, you're too sweet yourself. So a little something to recognize you today, a little sweetness for how you are with us in the community and all the work that you do for us. Much love to you. And I'm not going to forget my friend, Danielle, who is a support friend of ours. You've got bottled waters from the Better Business Bureau, so thank you for your support, Danielle. You just jumped in and volunteered. Can't thank you enough, so shout out to you. All right. I got more shout outs for later. How are you all feeling up here? Are you ready? We're going to have a really dynamic conversation with these ladies that represent all different ages, all sorts of backgrounds, and I'm excited to introduce you to them. First and foremost, we have Alexandra Luz Frazier. Hi, Alex. Oh, we need the microphones on. So I'm not gonna, I should just call him out because he's being very shy. That's my husband in the black over there. And I'm like, can you please help me? But he's just looking at me and now he's hiding. So, can you, is everything working? Turn him on? I'm giving him the look. Did you notice, ladies? I'm like, giving So Alexandra is mine. Alexandra is 9 years old, and she's in the 4th grade. Thank you, Danielle. And she really wanted to be part of this experience. So this is Alexandra Frazier. We have Aurelina, who is an entrepreneur powerhouse, Aurelina Mercedes. She owns her own business as a 16-year-old high school student and entrepreneur. She does the lots and phenomenal. So I would check her out on Instagram. Make sure you say hi to her. Make sure you get her information. You want to follow her. She is also not only an advocate for other young people, she actively volunteers with top-notch scholars and is really powerful in that space. So welcome, Adelina. And I have Lena here, Abolaski. She is a rising 5th-year student at Northeastern University studying, get this, chemical engineering and biochemistry with a minor in biological engineering. Good Lord. But that's not all I can tell you about her. Following graduation, she plans to attend graduate school to get her PhD. So we are in good hands with Lena, and I know her mom personally, another outstanding, extraordinary woman. So Lena, I'm really grateful that you're here with us. And we have Rocio Bravo. I'm just going to talk about her myself. I don't need to look down. Rocio comes from Puerto Rico. She is light and grace. She is also an engineer with a master's degree and works at Thermo Fisher Scientific, who's in the house. She also works at Biosystems, so she is already showing her great advancements in her career. She's also many things, including a podcast host with Career Vibes to Thrive, which Rocio and I are launching together on September 8th. She's also an entrepreneur. She does resumes by Rocio, so she helps young people with their resumes. And these young women are building their own businesses, going slow and steady, but growing, and so quite inspiring. And last but not least, I have a dear friend that I really admire. She inspires me every time we connect. This is Christine Williams. She is the Senior Vice President of, I want to make sure I get the title right, in Research and Development at Rapid Microbiosystems. Senior Vice President, Global R&D and Product Management. Chris is, I can say a lot of things about her extensive resume and the experience that she has in the workplace. But I think more importantly, as a leader, I want to just call out her humanity, how she leads not only with purpose in her style of managing the business, like management, but her way of leading people is what really inspires people to do their best work. It's not the what, it's how she does it. And she does the what so excellently that when she does the wow, you can't but help notice her as a leader. So thank you, Chris, for being here and your support. All right, ladies, are we ready? Let's ask some questions. This is going to be really fun. Alexandra, you're not just a 4th grade student. You've had lots of experiences, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. Tell me, when you're at school or wherever you are, have you ever experienced anybody telling you that you can't do something because you're a girl?
Yes, I have. When I was in recess, I was talking to my friends, and I do Taekwondo, and I was talking about them with my group day, and I wanted to see if they would go to my testings, and a guy overheard me, and he said, "Well, girls don't do Taekwondo," and he made a wow face at me. And I was also a little shocked that he said that, and a little disappointed, because girls could do whatever they want to do, and I feel like they should follow their dreams. And
okay, you You think the girls should follow their dreams? Yes, I agree. Do you all agree girls should follow their dreams? Yes. So Alexandra, you're in Taekwondo?
Yes.
What level are you in?
I'm a red 2.
Right, what does that mean?
I'm close to black belt.
You're close to black belt. So hopefully this year she will have her black belt. Special shout out. Listen, talk about women that can accomplish anything. We have 2 really special individuals with us today. So the founder and owner of Chang's Taekwondo America is here today. Master Catherine. Please say hello. This is Master Catherine. And I understand, Master Catherine, that your birthday's tomorrow too? Hey, happy birthday! Oh, don't look like it. And you know, when your daughter comes home and says, I have a role model, and she talks and talks and talks about all the things that she's learning and how she's really pushing herself, and sometimes she complains that it's too much. But when you have one inspiring person that's really allowing for that to happen, Master Torres, I can't not but shout out. So Master Torres is in the house. She is an instructor of Taekwondo. Master Torres, much love to you. Thank you for everything you do, not only for Alexandra, but all these young kids that are learning about showing up and being strong and having a voice. You do that for them. Love that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm in training too, by the way. I definitely am trying to learn Taekwondo here. we have to practice panses. You can pass that down. So let's talk about the fact, Adelina, that we're thinking about inspiring the future regarding women's rights and equality. You're 16 years old, you're active in the community, you're showing up as a leader. What's your perspective on what you aspire for? What are you thinking about for the future of equality in women?
So when I first thought about this question, I was like, aspirations are something that are big. So I was thinking, I have to be impactful. But then I started thinking more, and I was like, what am I already doing? And after I thought about that, I was just like, if I do everything that I do daily, and I do it with a passion, and I'm representing women, then I'm already making an impact. So I don't need to I don't know how to put it into words, but I don't need to have to prove anything to anyone.
Yes.
If I'm powerful, it'll show.
Yes. If you're powerful, it'll show, and your confidence, right? Your confidence gets you there. I love that. Let's hear that same question for you, Lena. As you think about the future, you've got a long road ahead of you for schooling, and you're clearly wanting to make an impact on the world. But when you think about equality, and as Vilma described for us, equity, what's your aspiration?
I think my aspiration is to not be surprised anymore when you see women in powerful positions, right?
Yes.
You look at the board of directors for a company or even the executive team, and you're like, oh wow, there's 2 women, that's awesome. And I don't want to be surprised and excited about that anymore. I want it to be an expectation. I don't want it to be a big deal anymore because you always see that.
Who's feeling that in the house? Who's feeling that? Yes. I'm tired of that myself.
So I just want to see more women making decisions and impacting the world with their belief systems and that kind of thing, and just not have to be so excited about it. Just expect it.
I think we're all with you in that, and we hope that doesn't take as long as it seems like it will be. But to Adelina, your point, if we're all making an effort, if we're all working towards that, we can start making some inroads. Powerful stuff there. There's so many things that we can be thinking about here. I think about gender equality and how it intersects with various aspects of identity. And Rocio, as I think about that, those various aspects of identity such as race, ethnicity, sexuality, and more, how do you think these intersections impact experiences of different groups of women? Because we're talking about all women. It's not just, a traditional woman. We accept all women, and women have choices. And so how do you think about that from this perspective of the impact that these experiences make?
Good morning, everybody. First of
Good
all,
morning.
I'm so happy and so nervous at the same time, just because I really care about what we're doing here today, and just like being beside this group of women is just incredibly powerful. When I thought about this question, I thought about how all of these intersections actually can create a barrier when it comes to opportunity. And it is wonderful that we're accepting all these types of women, but really we see often in society that we're not. And all these intersections create barriers for opportunities when you're looking for jobs, when you're looking for resources. And I'll give an example. I'm a Hispanic woman, proud Puerto Rican, but my mom sitting over there, she gave me all of the opportunities you could think of: education, resources, a voice. So I decided to shift my perspective and think, you know what? I might not have all of the opportunities, but I have enough opportunities to create a voice, a platform, and elevate those women that might not be sitting next to me at the table.
Wow. And it's something that we all have to be cognizant of, right? Alina, what are your thoughts of that? Did you have a perspective on that? How are you seeing it in your academics? And you have a very high-profile mom in a biotech organization as a chief technology, I forgot her title, it's a chief technology
Chief
something. It's a long title. But where do you see that play out, or what do you experience firsthand?
I think I've been very lucky to not feel like my gender has influenced my opportunities in like the biotech field or in my education. I've been very privileged. But I also recognize that there is some subconscious bias and discrimination, and I'm sure it's kept me from getting things, but I've been lucky to not feel it too much. But I think the biggest thing is just like taking advantage of opportunities and advocating for myself and accepting my worth. I think like a good example of this is that I'm in a co-op position right now at a biotech company, and I got a $2 raise on my first day, and I was like, that's awesome. And it's because the other intern is a man, and he negotiated and got a raise, and I didn't even consider that, I didn't think to advocate for myself or to negotiate, and I think that's my biggest barrier, and a lot of women's barriers is recognizing that they're worth more than they think they are, and that kind of thing, and advocating for themselves. And I think just like having to look for mentors and providing support for other women is really important to, help everyone rise up.
Yes, love that, powerful. I think about how powerful it was for you to say, I recognize that I'm privileged. Not many people pause and share a recognition, no matter who you are, right? We all have access or privileges based on backgrounds and so on. Some of us much more than others. And so I think, Vilma, you were talking about equity and the importance of making sure that people have what they need in order to move forward, to progress. That was really educational for us. So it's not just about like, hey, everybody has access. It's like there are individuals who have less access just because of who they are, what they look like, what their name is, where they came from, what language they speak, right? And so that I think was powerful of you to say, and while you haven't felt it strongly, you do know that there's biases and things that are happening, and that's an awareness that we're having today, folks, right? It's just another pause. Right now we're holding time and space to think about the fact that these things happen. So Chris, when you think about efforts to achieve women's equality, and I know you know the difference between the two with equity, how can we ensure that the conversation is inclusive and addresses the unique challenges that we all have?
Yeah, great question, Liz. So first of all, thanks for those kind words in the intro. You mean a lot to me as well, and I've learned so much from you, and this is just an amazing event, so well done. I think when you think about it, there's probably several strategies you can put into play to address this issue. I think of maybe a top 3 to 5, and one is just recognizing there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And if you had a one-size-fits-all solution, you would be discrediting a large part of the population. And so, as an example, a lot of companies put in place employer resource groups and ERGs. And sometimes you might hear, well, it's a women's ERG, it's to fix the women. It's not to fix the women. It's to make sure that you're fixing the environment, right? You're fixing the environment and you're making it holistic. Another piece of that is when you have a group like this, it's important to make sure it's diverse in representation, right? You have to have all of the voices at the table. I think Velma said that earlier too, and spot on, right? I loved it. You said, if you're not at the table, you're a part of the menu, I think. Strong statement,
Yes.
right? Very strong statement. And so having that is really important. Lena said it, acknowledge privilege. And when you have privilege, make sure that that's recognized, and you're bringing in, you're not speaking for others, you're bringing them to the table to speak for themselves, and having that point of view at the table with you as you're making decisions, you're putting policies in place, you're trying to influence that. And I think also I would say language matters. So make sure that you're cognizant of how, what words are used as you're speaking, that you're not excluding certain groups, right? So language is important when you're having these conversations. And then promoting allyship and advocacy, right? That is another piece of it. So it doesn't just have to be the women that are doing this. You've got to bring in other advocates from across a diverse pool to help this journey, right? And so I think I love seeing the men in the room. I love seeing the diverse representation in the room. I think it's what we need, absolutely.
I love it, Chris. Thank you. I love that we have some strategies that we can think about and put into practice. Sometimes these are things that we know, but we're busy, and we forget in the moment to practice the things that we know that are important, to demonstrate, to behave as. So I appreciate how important it is for us to be thinking about these strategies. Alexandra, how are you doing? What do you think about this conversation? Nate, tell me one word. How do you feel right now?
Amazing. You want to say it a little louder?
What would Master Torres say?
Nice and loud, right? So how do you feel?
Amazing!
Okay, well, there you go. That was a little too much, Master Torres. I don't know if you teach them how to screech, but yes. Adelina, you work with many young people. You are a young person, but your leadership capacity. When you think about the individuals that you work with, the young community that you work with, what do you think is important about gender equality? How do you think they're aware of it, if at all? Are they?
I think now more than ever, especially in this generation, we are very aware of what's going on. So we're more exposed to like problems that weren't as exposed before, especially with gender equality, because everyone sees what other people are going through, and they're wondering why they aren't getting like the same expectations or like the same standards as other people. So I feel like it's very notable in this generation, and especially for me, I've been in a program where I'm exposed to a lot of networking and a lot of leadership opportunities. And throughout those opportunities, I've realized that there are more powerful women, even though like on the internet, I don't really see that much representation. So now that I'm actually in the environment, it's really inspiring to see other women. And when I think about that, I think about like what I want to do in the future. And if everybody in the future is striving to do the equality, and like I said, on the internet we see everything, so if everyone is working towards the same thing and showing the same responsibility and being held accountable for the way they treat other people, then in the future I feel like we'll be able to figure it out, because in this generation a lot of doors are opening for women to step out and be more confident in themselves.
I love that. Yes. And so, Rocio, we take it a step further and we think about how can we empower young girls to pursue their dreams and really overcome the societal barriers? They're out there. What are your thoughts?
I love this question, and I'll start by saying I work in continuous improvement, and I'm coaching teams constantly on not getting overwhelmed by big problems and to make small changes that make a big impact. Very similar with empowering younger girls. I feel that in today's society, when we think about gender equality or women empowerment, it is such a big problem and it's so overwhelming. And what I would say to young girls is make small changes that make a big impact. For example, you're in school and a boy is saying, "Oh, you're throwing like a girl." Stop it, say something. Say like, "What do you mean? I throw amazing, so is that a compliment?" If you want to pursue a degree that is, it's a degree where, for example, like engineering, I studied engineering and it's mostly men in the room. Don't be afraid. Speak up, take space, and make sure that in a society where people want you to conform and look down so that you just pass by, you have a voice and you feel empowered to make a small change that will not only affect you, but other women that come after you.
Yes. I think Chris got the chills. She's like, yeah. Well, I'm going to give you the next question, Chris, as we wrap up. You can see that the panel consists of individuals spanning from different ages and experiences. So, Chris, when you think about, and you're a mom of 3, right? Powerful young women that are also finding their way in the world that you're coaching and mentoring real time. How do you believe the perspectives of women's equality have changed or remained consistent across generations?
Yeah, I thought a lot about this question. So over my 30-year career, I have had experiences that have evolved, and then I'm surprised by some of the same consistent messages that I'm receiving over time. But I think if we take a step back, so 30 years ago, I went into engineering, there were 8% women in the engineering field, and I think that has gone up to 20, 25%. It's not 50, right? It's not half of the population yet. So I think one of the things that is interesting here that's consistent or hasn't changed is that we need to continue to open up the avenue for people to see the different opportunities. Lena was kind of talking about that as well. You can't see it if you can't be it if you can't see it. So trying to kind of find a way to bring that forward from that perspective. And I think another piece that has changed, especially for my daughters, there are some societal norms that have changed and evolved over time. So, for example, my husband was a stay-at-home dad for a while as my daughters were growing up, and we have 3 daughters, 26-year-old twins and a 22-year-old daughter. And so, 25 years ago or so, it was unheard of for the dads to be volunteering at school, or it was very odd for the male parent to be at home. And my daughters caught a lot of slack for that, and they were questioned by their friends. Well, what's wrong with your father? Why doesn't he work? Why doesn't he help support the family? And at first they didn't know how to respond to that. So I was trying to give them words and language to say, be proud of your mom too, right? Be proud of our family and how we sacrifice and how we built the family that we have that works for us. And so I think we need to be able to give the younger generation also some of the words to use and describe, that there's not a one-size-fits-all, just to go back to my other comment from that perspective. But when I think about the generation here, there's some pretty amazing people on this panel, right? And I'm very humbled and excited and thinking these are the next generation of leaders that are coming forward, and you're all fabulous and amazing, to use Alejandra's words too. So, and I'm proud of that, right? And so I think it's one of those things that we can continue to do, is just to highlight those examples and lift them up.
I love it. So as Alexandra would say, amazing! I want to know if there's any questions that anyone has. I can pass over the mic. What are you curious about as we wrap up our panel discussion? What do you want to know from these young women with experience, women from different perspectives, different experiences in the workplace? Anyone? I'm looking for a show of hands. Someone who's getting uncomfortable in their chair because they're about to speak up. I'm looking at Delia, who is the principal of Esperanza Academy. I know she has something to share about how girls have superpowers and how equality matters. And look, she's a leader, so she's on the spot, but Patty, good to see you. It's all Delia.
All right,
Good morning. I love this being put on the spot. I was the one uncomfortable. You're thinking, what should I ask? I have 101 questions for all of you, right? Because that's what I do. And talking about superpowers, I think my question, not only my question, is just first of all to say thank you all for the superpower that you already bring to the table, right? Yes, I think you serve. And I would like my question to be for Alexandra. Yes. And so, what would you say to your younger self when you were in first grade that will prepare that little girl in first grade to get to where you are right now? Remember when you were in first grade, right? Remember you? What would you say to her if you had her in front of you right now? That will prepare her to be sitting where you are, because right now, you are truly amazing. And I know that when I was in fourth grade, I wouldn't even dream of being where you are. It took me 53 years, and you did it in 3 years. So what would you say to her?
I would say that you were inspiring.
Are you saying that to me, or are you saying that to yourself? You are inspiring. And that's your superpower, sweetheart. Thank you.
Thank you, Delia. All right. Every mom in the room is going to know why I'm trying to hold it back. That's my girl. It's only proper for me to acknowledge that Alexandra is who she is, not only because she has a mom that really cares about her, loves her, adores her, and will do anything for her, but she also has a strong, solid, inspiring protector father who is present every day, all day for her. It doesn't happen overnight. So shout out to Mr. Alex Frazier. There he is. So, and one more question as we wrap. Anything else, Delia? That was amazing. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you to the panelists. Oh, did I see a hand?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
My question is for Rocio. I'm just curious, because you're very young and it seems like you've already accomplished a lot. Where do you get your confidence from?
That's a great question. I'm incredibly inspired by the strong women that brought me up. Mi abuela, my mom, which I don't want to cry. But to be honest, seeing everything that she had to go through and the strong woman that she is right now, that's why I'm passionate about paving a path for those who went through what she went through. And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to the next generation of women after me. So I won't stop. And my true passion is to create opportunities for those that don't have it. So my North Star will always be my grandma and my mom. And that's why I
Shout out to the moms. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, each and every one of you, for sharing your thoughts and your inspiration with us today. We are better for it. Alexandra, you did a great job. All right, let's hear it for our panelists. Thank you. So there's a lot that we've been considering here. And for that reason, I want to give us an opportunity before we take a stretch break to connect all the dots, right? I like to call it string the pearls. We've heard a lot of information. We're feeling connected to this conversation about equality and how important it is for us to pave the way for others, right? Not only for ourselves, but to also pave the way for others. And so I want to bring up, to kind of pull this all together and give us a perspective around having courage and how do we work through this when it's hard, when it makes us feel heavy, when we don't know where to turn, where we feel a bit alone at times, right? We're not alone, but we feel alone. And so I'd like to welcome Stacy Stewart. She is also an advocate, fierce advocate in the community for us in the space of equity, equality, social justice. She's earned a certificate in advanced graduate studies, CADS, in counselor education and is certified as a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. She was elected to the Lawrence School Committee and advocates for educational and racial equity in our public schools. She has been front and center with the Department of Justice grantees across the nation. Currently, Stacy is the executive director of the DREAM Network in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Her organization impacts racial, social, and economic justice movements across the community. And she is a doctorate candidate. She is profoundly committed to this work. You can tell by all of her accomplishments. I welcome Stacy up to talk to us about what should we be considering.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I come to you today in peace and love. I want to thank God, the protector of the universe, and give honor to our ancestors. Before I speak, I would like us to collectively pause, acknowledge and reflect on the lands and where we are sitting and standing in this moment. This very building sits on the righteous lands and waterways of the Pennacook people. I invite you to remember and honor their connection to this land and to this region, and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional and ancestral homelands. I'd like to thank Luz for hosting this powerful event. Luz, you are a fantastic woman with vision and compassion. And I want to thank all of you in the room for being here, for being present. We're going to take a little bit of time right now to speak about courage. Courage in the face of adversity. Courage and discomfort, and embracing discomfort, and being open to the exploration of some of the suffering that is going on around us. And that conversation isn't always comfortable. We just heard some incredible discussions with young women about their stories of strength and resilience and collaboration. We heard about young women in sports and science and technology and leadership. Yet, this is not new. Young women have always had these skills. In fact, in this very building, women organized for the Bread and Roses strike, for better pay, fewer work hours, and had a revolution in the Bread and Roses strike. So there is history that is here. I want to pause for a second, and I hadn't expected to do this, but I want to pause for a second, and acknowledge and thank Vilma for all of the work that she does for this community. Often, quietly, behind closed doors, and sometimes she's out in the open, but the real struggle, the real battles, the real challenges, she often handles alone, behind closed doors, with the support of community. But she has been fighting, and she's been fighting for over 15 years, and I think we met maybe 20 years ago, and she's still fighting, and she's an inspiration to me, and I know that she is an inspiration to many of us in this room, and so I want to thank you, Vilma. I want to go back to just talking about our collective gifts as women. We are able to have innovation. And these innovations occur regularly. We collaborate. We live in an uplifting community. In fact, I was just sitting at the table with Frank, sorry Frank, if I'm bringing you up. But we were just having this conversation, and very naturally, we just talked about the ways in which folks really do collaborate in this community. And that is what brings us hope. Those are the things that are working right. But in order to talk about equality and equity, we must take a moment and talk about the uncomfortable, which is inequality and inequity, and the ways in which those things intersect. Unfortunately, discussing inequality is not comfortable, it's not uplifting, it's not happy talk. But we cannot talk about women's inequality without talking about economic, social, racial, and other forms of inequality and inequity. And sometimes when we come face to face with these issues, it can be overwhelming and we can feel almost hopeless. But it also forces us to contend with our own spaces of inaction. And that can be uncomfortable. In sharing inequity and inequality, I want to be clear that when we see inequality, it is not the fault of those on the receiving end of the inequality. I want to say that again. It is not the fault of those on the receiving end. For example, women are not at fault for inequitable treatment. Yet, inequality and inequity exist. So for a moment, I would like to talk to you about what inequality and what inequity looks like in this community and in this region. Because we often don't talk about it. We kind of brush it under the rug, and we talk about the positive things, and I think that's important. But we need to understand what inequity is and what inequality is and what it looks like. So I'm going to briefly talk about a study that came out from the Boston Fed. And it was called The Color of Wealth in Massachusetts. And essentially, the Boston Fed did this research with scholars from Duke, from Boston, and looked at wealth inequality in this region, and particularly the northeastern region of Massachusetts. And one of the most striking numbers, and there were all kinds of striking numbers to come out of that, but one of the most striking numbers to come out of that data was that for every $247,000 in net assets that white families had in the region, Puerto Ricans had $1,200. African Americans had $8. And Dominicans had $0. $0 to $247,000. And so when we talk about inequity and we talk about inequality, we have to look at the numbers. We have to look at what's happening in the community. I want to talk about another study. Harvard University did a study in 2020 that looked at disparities in sentencing. And it definitively said that there is bias in sentencing. There is racial bias in sentencing. And in fact, the Prison Policy Center states that Massachusetts actually leads the way in incarceration between white men and Latino men. And those numbers are largely driven by people in this region. Women, in particular, Latinas, have the highest unemployment rate when suffering from incarceration. In addition, LGBTQ+ communities have huge disparities when coming from incarceration and from into workforce development. Yet surprisingly, according to the FBI statistics in 2021, Lawrence is not the most dangerous community in the Merrimack Valley. But we wouldn't know that, would we? Because the assumption is that we are. And finally, unfortunately, despite all our best efforts, there are neighborhoods in Lawrence that have dollar for dollar less wealth in them now than they did in 1990. Less home ownership now than it did in 1990. Wages are less now than they were in 1990, and that is not adjusting for inflation. It's dollar for dollar. We have experienced floods, fires, gas explosions, the pandemic, and now more floods. And in fact, residents for the last decade have been unable to even vote for their elected representatives at the school level for a decade. So, what does this have to do with women's equity and women's equality? In Massachusetts, in liberal Massachusetts, voters lost their right to vote. And not a lot of people are talking about it. In fact, we're very quiet about it. And so when people ask me, how did the Dobbs decision happen? How is it that we can take rights away from women when we can look at bodily autonomy and say after 50 years, no more? How does this happen? I know how it happens. It happens because we let it happen, and we've been letting it happen for a long time. It's just when it hits the right people, we decide to be upset about it. But there are things happening in our community that we have been kind of, what is the saying, whistling past the graveyard, right? And not noticing. And so I want to say that we are here, and there is strength here, and we need to continue to advocate for one another because our fates are intertwined. What's happening here in Lawrence absolutely affects what's happening at the federal level. I mentioned this again because it's important to be uncomfortable, but I mention this because it's important for us to lean into equality by naming inequity, by naming inequality. Inequality and inequity anywhere is inequality and inequity everywhere. And so leaning into these issues requires courage and a willingness to experience discomfort and humility. And I do want to speak for a moment about how and when the interests of equality exist and how we move through the discomfort. First and foremost, it is important to embrace radical hope. And we saw an example of radical hope right here in the panelists. Right? They are our future. We need to look at the ways in which we characterize other people's experiences, even if they're not our own. Right? So we need to avoid challenging one's experience and minimizing that experience. Because for many people here, poverty is a real thing. For many people here, racism is a real thing. For many people here, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is not gonna happen, right? There are no boots, there are no straps. And so acknowledging the experiences of people who are different from us, who don't have the same privileges as we do, right? Academic privilege. It is important to acknowledge that. And really the translation to that is believe women, right? When women say that they are experiencing inequity in the community, in the workplace, in the nonprofit sector, it's important to believe that. I think the other thing that's important to do is assume that some of what we have learned historically about who we are and what we do locally and in the country may be inaccurate. Some of what we've talked about, what we've learned about our exceptionalism may be inaccurate or may not be fully accurate for all of us. And I think that is an important distinction. It's something that we need to acknowledge when we talk about equity. Part of what we learned is flawed and incomplete. But we have young people here to help us complete that circle. Another thing that is really important to do as we wrestle with this discomfort and we wrestle with inequity is to reward those who practice equality and equity when we see it. Acknowledge it. Shout it from the rooftops. Know that it is amazing when we see individuals practicing equity and equality when we see it. At the same time, it is important to confront inequality and inequity when we see it, and especially when it makes us uncomfortable. This is a key element in sustaining equality. And finally, we have to fight for equality. It is not enough to put our heads in the sand and say, it's not me, I can't deal with this today. Because people like Vilma don't have the option of waking up and not fighting. Because many of us are fighting for our lives. And so as women, we need your solidarity. We need to uplift one another. Because we have to fight. We have to be there. For the young people that were here talking to us about their futures, they are worth the fight. If the institutions you interact with have leadership that do not reflect your community's values, your community's demographics, your community's voice, then there's a problem. And it's okay to say there's a problem. And it's okay being uncomfortable saying that there's a problem. But we must acknowledge the problem. We must be okay being in discomfort. And we must embrace radical hope and love for one another. So I leave you here with this question. So what will you do? Thank you.
You really helped us create space and hold space to get uncomfortable with topics that we talk about, but we always want to talk about them from the more inspiring or energizing perspective. It is important to recognize that being uncomfortable is part of our growth. Being uncomfortable means that something's not right. Something is making you feel a certain way, and when we're uncomfortable, there's two things that we do. We either get used to it, and we're saying, that's the way it is, that's just the way it is, that's the way it goes, right? Or, I got some no's over there from Thermo Fisher, and they're like, no, hell no. Or we can do something about it, right? And so Stacy's asking us, what are we going to do about it? If you're uncomfortable and you don't like it, rather than staying in the uncomfortable stuck, what are you going to do about it? Really powerful. So with that, I'm inviting you to a break. We're gonna have some music pumping, there's some picture taking, feel free to mingle. We're gonna take 10 minutes to do a stretch break. We're going to come back and wrap up our time together. And we will be back in 10. You'll hear the music get louder and louder. I'm gonna ask of everybody to quickly come back. We're gonna do a quick table activity and then wrap up our time together. Okay? Sound good? All right, enjoy it. All right, we're gonna find our seats, everybody. Well, that was high energy impact fun. Yes. Where's my friend Myra? Myra was like pumping it up, making sure everyone was feeling good, energized. I love it. Where is she? She was dancing. There she is. Myra, get over here. Get over here. This girl right here knows how to bring the energy up level. Tell me a couple of words to describe how you're feeling right now.
To piggyback off of an amazing young lady, wherever she may be right now. I'm feeling great, I'm feeling energized, and definitely connected.
Yay! All right. Round of applause. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to move a little quicker because I do want to end our programming at 11:30 and give you enough time to do a little bit more networking, more picture taking, and a little bit more of that fun energy with the music, because we are celebrating just as much as we are thinking about what are we going to do. I love that Stacy really anchored the rest of our conversation today with the question, so what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? What are we going to do? So I need you to look into your bag. If you go into your bag, which I'm going to ask that you do, there is a journal. Within the journal, there is a card. And this card has several questions. Looks like this. Looks like this. So what I'm going to ask you to do is spend the next 8 minutes or so, 8 to 10 minutes, within your table to talk about the fourth question in particular. So these 4 questions are here because I wanted to give you something to take back that you can use to continue the conversation within your employee resource groups, within your team meetings, within your staff meetings. I wanted to give you something to take back that would initiate conversation that's meaningful. And so these questions are here for you to consider, take back, and you can use the journal to answer question number 4. What actionable steps can individuals and organizations take, going back to Stacy's important question, to promote inclusivity and equality in the workplace, and how does this benefit society? So I want you to really focus on this. We're going to play some music, and you're going to have a table conversation. Talk about that 4th question. What are the things that we can do? It's not enough to simply talk about it, but what are we going to do about it? So let's spend the next several minutes discussing this question, and be prepared, because I may pick on you to talk to us a little bit about what it is that you talked about at your table. Okay, the music's going to be playing. It will get a little louder as we're bringing it to a close, and then we'll come together. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've given you some time to think about that question number 4. There's some good energy here, so what actionable steps can individuals and organizations take? And so I'm just going to make the rounds. I'm just going to pick on people, just kind of move around. I just want to hear a little bit about what your table talked about, what were some of the impacts of that conversation. So Carmen, you know I'm coming right at you. She knew I was coming. She's like, don't make eye contact, don't make eye contact. But she did. Stand up, Carmen, let yourself be seen.
Well, first and foremost, Luz, thank you, and for everyone being here. I honestly tell you, I had no idea what to expect today. I just know that I was coming to support this amazing woman. That's all I was doing, and I'm not gonna lie, Luz, even though you've sent amazing messages, you sent great flyers. When I sat here, I said hi to everyone, and I'm like, Stacey, what are we doing today? And she almost Stacey was like, she's like, so I say that because aside from being in a room full of amazing individuals, because there are all types of genders here, even though I'm used to saying male, female, in order to be inclusive, in order to be equitable, I just say gender as a whole, all right? That being said, jumping into what actionable steps can individuals and organizations take to promote inclusivity and equality in the workplace, and how does this benefit society? I don't know, and no pun intended, I am loving this group here because they gave me all the answers because I couldn't think of anything. So here's the first thing. First and foremost, invite one person. Right now, you might think that because you just invited someone, that was it. You have no idea how impactful this session today has been. And hopefully I won't put the individual on the spot, but this has changed some of her thought processes, that when she walks out of here, she's gonna feel like Superwoman. Yes. Okay? And that was because she got invited by one person. So an actionable step is invite someone. Vilma, I will give you credit, but then times I'm going to take full credit. I'm going to start using now, if you're not at the table, you're a part of the menu. So I'm saying that because that right there impacted me, and that was listening. listen to one another. We talk sometimes that we were doing this or doing that, but are we truly listening? All right, so listening is number one. Number three, this was actually one of my favorite ones. Be the party. I was like, what?
Be the party.
Be the party. I'm like, I said, Myra, so what are your thoughts? What are the action rules? She's like, no, I'm just here at the party. Yeah. But as she said that, of course, even though I know she was joking, but there is some truth behind that. You have to be able to entertain whatever that may be. Whether it's you're talking, whether it is you making someone uncomfortable so they can talk to you and be like, seriously? So now that I have your attention, what is it that I can do for you? But be the party, be the life. The next one is speaking up. Again, and I think this goes for cultural culture. There's a young lady here that comes of a family of 2 boys, and she was the only girl. From a Latin perspective, depending what part of the Caribbean you're from, being the only girl allows you automatically to be the princess. Well, apparently she got the opposite. She was treated equal. So my follow-up question to her was, well, do you regret not being the princess? Oh, don't do this. Oh, fix it. She's like, no, because it's made me who I am today. I feel that because of my brothers, I'm able to speak up. Alrighty? And I think that's it. Alrighty, hope I answered questions.
Thank you. Yes. I love to be the party because when you bring yourself and you bring your energy, yes, I like that. Who can I pick out at this table here? I know there's some insights here.
I told you this was going to be lit.
Aaron, tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the conversation that you had. Are you feeling that? No. Yes.
All right, but I'm representing our table not because these wonderful women had fabulous ideas. But we talked a lot about the dynamic of we don't understand things. You know, we're listening and we're hearing, but we also know we don't understand. And how do we acknowledge that, and how do we endeavor to learn to better understand? We talked about a variety of different experiences and how we holistically bring those to bear so that we can support the people in our lives. We talked a bit about, from an inclusive workplace perspective, how we bring more diversity across all different types into our environments, whether that's hiring practices, or I love what was said over here about just inviting. How do we invite different ideas to make us all better?
Yes. Right. Round of applause. What I really love about what Erin said is this whole notion of it's bringing people along and also recognizing that we sometimes have to do that for them, like really nudge them, move them along, open up the space, create the space, and not just assume that people will step into it. Right? We have to, if we see it that's happening, instead of being the silent majority, the folks that are not making movement, the folks that are not doing something, let's do something about it. I'm going to move over to the Thermo Fisher table because I know this is a strong team. Everybody's looking at somebody. Let's see over here. Tell me about what your team talked about.
Yes, so hi everyone. We are a group of wonderful ladies from Thermo Fisher Scientific. So my team and I at this table talked about a lot of the similar things that some of the ladies earlier were talking about, like how we want to be firm, we want to echo each other, we want to be invited, which we were today by Rosiel. But one thing that I echo a lot personally with is to invite them to the table. When I first started at Thermo, I was the youngest on the team. I was one of the 2 female engineers out of 150 people that worked at my site. As a new grad, who's also the girl, I felt like when I'm entering a room where, there's only 5 seats somehow, but they're booking for 30 people, I should be one of the people standing around. I shouldn't be the one that's sitting down taking one of the, rare resources, chairs. But one day I decided I'm worthy of the space.
Yes, I'm worthy.
By doing so, I felt like I was also empowering the other women, the other engineers on our team in finance or whoever is entering that space to take a seat, to take a spot, take your space at that table, no matter you're ready or not, you're not ready. So.
Okay, we all have to repeat this. Ready? I am worthy. I am worthy. Yes, I am. One last input here. So I haven't informally introduced, but people get curious. This is my daughter also. Her name is Karina. And Karina, what did you guys talk about?
Hey, so we definitely talked about a lot about being at the table and opening up a spot. I really loved what one of the speakers earlier said about opening up that spot and inviting them in and not speaking for them. So I think it's really important that we don't try to, take what somebody else says and just share it. It comes more impactful when it's from the actual person, to hear their stories, to really, understand where they're coming from, because maybe it could be just a difference between two people or, what you're assuming, but if you let them come in, you give them the space to take up, you're just going to learn and grow, and that's just going to help the community where you are.
Yes.
I love that.
I love that too. Yes. There's something to be said about getting comfortable with silence. It's so interesting. We want to be inclusive, but this is the practice. Hey Danielle, what's your idea on this topic in the meeting? And Danielle needs a few seconds to process because you just put her on the spot. But because we're uncomfortable with her silence, that she didn't speak up immediately, we talk for her. Oh, well, what I think is important, you just keep on going. What this table seems to be talking about is not only invite people in to speak, but create the condition, create the space for people to actually speak their own words, have their own voice heard, right? And that means that we have to pause. And to Stacy's point, that might be uncomfortable, but let the person find their way. They will find their way, right? So it just takes a couple of seconds for us to just sit in silence and let the person process and let them claim their space. That's how they're going to build their courage. That's how they're going to build their confidence, when we allow for that to happen. But if we're talking over them and we're thinking we're saving the day because we're going to speak for them, you spoke for them. They didn't have a voice. They weren't seen and they weren't heard. Wow. With me?
Yes.
Yes, so we're creating space for people to be seen and heard, right? Yes. All right. So I want to transition. I hope that today my intent was the following. My name is Luz Josefina Carrasquillo de Frazier. Put that on a resume. Try to get somebody to notice you. So for many years I went by Lucy. Carrasquillo was hard enough. I was moved from Lawrence to Salem, New Hampshire, my last year junior school, and then into high school, the only Latina. In fact, when my parents bought that house in Salem, New Hampshire, there was somebody on a bike, because my brother and I were riding our bikes, that said, oh my gosh, look at them, they're Spanish people living here. Like they were mortified. It was powerful for me to recognize for the first time that I was different, because I came from a community that all looked the same. So quite frankly, I'll be honest, I was feeling pretty good in my community of Lawrence. Esa es mi familia, aquí estamos todos juntos, los parecemos. We all look the same when you're in the same community. But when you take a step away from that, that's when you notice. So when black people get together and Latinos get together, we're feeling comfortable. A white person comes in, you feel different. When all the white people are together and a black person walks in, or a Latino or Asian person walks in, then we feel different. But should we really? We're all human beings.
Amen.
We cut and we bleed, same color. It doesn't matter the shade. I'll tell you one story as we move to transition. I remember my grandmother, and many years ago from Puerto Rico, Hayuya. And when my husband is not white. He's dark colored skin. His father is from South Africa. His mother is from the Dominican Republic. I think he's the most beautiful man on the planet. He's an amazing father and husband. And I don't say that to make him embarrassed. I say that because when I started to get to know him and we were walking the streets together, I noticed that people were looking at us, right? I noticed, and I'm like, well, what are they looking at? What's the issue? Like, I didn't see it, but then I started taking notice that it was something that people would that still happens. It still happens today. They don't think I'm with him. I'm like, yeah, that's my husband. I'm proud of my husband. And he's an amazing father, and he's always there for me, caring for our family. It doesn't matter color of skin, it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter that you have an education, don't have an education, it doesn't matter, we're human beings. So the point of all of today was to say that my father, who passed a year ago, present today, because he always had a dream for me to accomplish something that he's never accomplished. First is that when I said to him, no, papi, I'm gonna be called Luz. My name is Luz. It means light in Spanish. It's no longer Lucy. He was like, bien, mija. We tried to do the best because we wanted it to be easier for you. But I love that you're claiming your name. He always wanted to own a business, and he never got to the point where he owned his own business, but boy, did he have the chops to do it. Just didn't get there. The opportunities and the access weren't necessarily there. But I stand before you today as the founder and CEO of Humano, my own business, and I give that to my dad. And I feel like I have a responsibility to stand straight and stand before all of you. So my very first event as Humano was to bring this community, all of you together, so that we can do something back for the community. So it is my pleasure to have Delia come up with Patty from Esperanza Academy. As we are in community, every sponsor, so Avastis, Rapid Microbial Luke Jackson's Benefits and HR Solutions, the Green Evolution Corporation, and our support from the Better Business Bureau, all contributed to what we want to gift Esperanza. Not only that, but every registration that came through is gifting Esperanza Academy. And so before we gift you what we have for you to bring back to your school, including school supplies, so we have school supplies that came in, and special shout out to Thermo Fisher Scientific, who took it to the next level. They actually put boxes and locations and really, there's a cart. There's like a rolling cart of supplies, which we're thrilled about. But I want you to hear firsthand from Esperanza Academy what the school is all about and why it matters for you in whatever way that you can. Whether it be with Esperanza, which we hope you would continue to follow and contribute to, or any nonprofit or any agency that is giving back to the community to grow it, for you to contribute. For you to, whether it's your time, whether it's your energy, or whether it's funding, but for you to contribute. So Daniel, tell us a little bit about Esperanza as we are about to have this very special moment for the girls.
Thank you. Here we are, women. I forgot my lipstick. That was just an icebreaker. Esperanza, when people ask me about Esperanza, I have to say it's the jewel of education here in the city of Lawrence. Yes, and the people that are saying yes, thank you so much. It is. It is. I grew up in the city. I represent Esperanza. I am one of my students, right? We serve students from 5th through 8th grade, all from the city of Lawrence. We online, you will find us as an all-girl school. We are saying we are all-girl, and any child that identifies as a girl is welcome at our school. We are a tuition-free school. which means Patty here does, with her team, all of the fundraising that we have to be able to support our school. We are in a very small location, but the beauty of our school is in our mission. We have in our mission not only that our girls are capable, they're brilliant, they're from Lawrence, they have a strong identity, but if you look at our values, we have love and joy. Wow. Joy, yeah, wow, right. And joy is not something that we try to squeeze in. Joy is something that is in our makeup, it's in everywhere. It's greeting our students in the morning with music. It's us being outside. It's the chocolate cake that appears all of a sudden. And the girls, our students right now don't miss school. We have a 98% attendance to our school in any year. Wow. Yeah. And what they don't know is, and I know that you gave me the mic, that was a mistake you made. Yeah, that's the mistake you made. Right. So I'm almost done. But what they don't know is that we also high rigor and high impact. And the reason why we have high joy is that they don't feel that learning has to be something that it's not for them. Learning is uncomfortable, but it's also easier when you have a really nice warm chocolate cake topped with ice cream on top, and you have a bachata in the background, and you're studying for math. That is Esperanza. Please come and join us at any given time. And thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to go back and say thank you.
Well, you never have to speak if you bring Delia to an event, so that's why I usually invite her as my +1, so it's really, really helpful. I just want to say thank you. I think for the 17 years Esperanza has been in this community, we continue to see the impact of being a part of Lawrence, and it is such an important part of our mission and something we're very proud of. We never say we need help at Esperanza. We invite you to be a part of that joy and love and inspiration that our students give us every day. We have 60 students in our school on a day-to-day basis and support them throughout the summer and breaks, and just seeing some of their beautiful faces yesterday as we welcome families for preparation for the school year. There were hugs and just tears already of missing one another. And so we're really, really blessed to have such a beautiful community, and it expands. We support our students for 12 years. So 20, those 15 to 16 students that graduate each year matriculate, and we have 224 alumni that we continue to support. And any Esperanza girl that you meet in our community, you will be wowed and impressed, because she's such a beautiful representation of what is really happening on Jackson Street and Garden Street over at Esperanza. So my plea to you is stop by, visit us, meet our students, and experience that joy and love for yourselves, and continue to learn about Esperanza. So please don't be shy with Delia and myself and others that you meet from our school. Thank you so much.
Esperanza means hope. Esperanza means hope. These girls have hope. They have joy, they have love, and they have a whole lot of learning. As I went to a tour, I was scared. I was like, it's a Friday afternoon, Patty. It's a Friday afternoon. The teacher's like, all right, we're getting ready for a test. So they work hard too. So on behalf of this community before you, every single person has contributed. We want to give Esperanza a little bit more hope of $3,400 for the school to be able to care for whatever they need. They just don't cry because you're gonna make me. I've made it through the. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've done this for Esperanza. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this contribution. And I couldn't be more honored as my first year as I've been building my company. It is my greatest joy in this 1 year. September 1st will be Humano's first. And my husband knows, because he hears me laugh and like celebrate the moments, and then when I'm crying and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, and he's like, you're gonna keep going, that's what you're gonna do. This is my greatest moment, is for me and my family to have facilitated this process with all of you. So please tell your girls that we honor them as our superheroes, because we know they're going to be paving the leadership way over the next several years as they continue to grow. They're going to be our nation's leaders in place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have supplies and all that, and I have the real check, of course. You can't go to the bank with that. Bring that to the bank, it will work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, let's take a breath. Did that feel good?
Yes.
You just gave that to about 60, I think? 64 middle school girls. Have a little something extra. Patty was telling me that they each have like a learning journal, agenda, planner type thing, and they were hoping that what we could do could give them each one of them. And so I think it's that and then some.
Yes, it is.
And so please tell them that we're sending much love to them from the community and from Lead Humano. Thank you so much for letting us do this for you. All right, one last thing as we wrap up, because I want to give you some time to network and take more pictures. That was a lot of fun over there. There's a sign that says, I am a phenomenal woman. I'm like, yes, I'm going to own that one. I'll take that one. There are sticky notes and a marker or markers or a pen. I want you to write one word that speaks to what you want to see in the future of women equality and equity. Just one word. And as you decide to leave, you're going to put it in on that board that's by the exit door. You're just going to put it there. And as you leave, I want you to see the words that people are expressing. What's the one word that you hope for as we continue the fight, the march, the focus on women equality? And as you're thinking about that, I've got a few raffles as we are wrapping up.
They're in the back.
All right, so Lead Humano, I have published a book. It's Unlocking the Secrets to Early Career Success. And I wanted to gift a couple of books and access to a program that I'm running, so I'll share in a moment. But we've got 3 raffles. We're going to call out some names. That book includes a 1-hour career coaching session with me, which is valued at $400. And I think that once you get into the book and you schedule some time with me, you'll find it of great value, because there's always something that we want to accomplish as a goal within our careers. And I'm hoping that the person who receives this gift will really value that. So let's do a couple of raffles. I'm going to reach out to my friend over here, pick out a name.
All right, guys, no pressure.
Oh, a number. It's a number that we're going to pick.
Ending in 049.
049. You got your raffle tickets? 049. Going once?
Where's the raffle ticket?
No one? 049? Vilma, you got 049 raffle ticket? Oh, check. She's probably the keeper of that ticket. 049? Anybody? Oh, we got it! Yes! I knew I waited long enough. Hey! Awesome. Here you go. Thank you for coming today. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And you can use that for yourself, or you can gift it.
Oh, thank you.
There's also a little, you got to have a little Starbucks with your coffee. With your book reading and journaling. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Isaac, since you did such a great job, mix it up in there and give me another ticket.
I'm gonna go blind on this one. Okay. Ending in 019. 019.
That sounds like a good bingo voice, yes, for sure. 019?
019 going once. No?
Should we pull another? All right, we're pulling another one. Hold on to that ticket.
Oh, okay. Ending in 002.
That's a good number. 002. Ah, right here. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Look at that.
Rising, the flyer that's in the bag.
Oh, right. This blue paper?
Yeah. Okay, last but not least, in your bag, there is a flyer for Humano's Women Leadership Development Program. It is designed for women who are aspiring to go into the leadership track or have recently joined the leadership track and really need the support. This program will have you experience 2 in-person learning experiences, events, and 5 coaching sessions, one-on-one. It is designed to really develop some core competencies. In the back, you'll see the role of manager and leader, the confidence and influence, effective communication, cohesive team leadership, and adaptability and resilience. Those are the core competencies that we're going to be focused on. Many of you may not know that I've had the last 25 years leading adult learning or leadership development and staff development for corporations as large as Thermo Fisher at a global scale, Rapid Microbiosystems, Comcast, and so my expertise in human resources is in leader development. In particular for women, I am not only a business executive coach, I am a master certified life coach, and I bring a holistic perspective to the learning experience. So it's highly interactive, extremely thought-provoking. It will push your limits. You will get uncomfortable, but you will come on the from the other side of this sparkling. You will be sparkling. And that is because I work really hard to create an experience, not just an event. You have an experience. So I am launching this program. It's coming up in November. So if you're interested in signing up, that would be amazing. There's information on how to do that here, or just contact me directly through Humano. But in this box, I'm going to gift someone this experience. So the next raffle is a, Myra's like, I bring the party. I bring the party, pick me. So it's a $5,800 value. There's lunch and breakfast included, there's materials included, and you get the 5 hours of one-on-one executive coaching to really build your development. So, Karina, you want to do the honors? Mix it up.
No pressure.
No pressure? Did you mix it up? Mix it. How about a little music to build the anticipation? All right. What's the number?
Ending in 016. You can have it or you can gift it to somebody.
We got a winner, 016! Yay! Right out of her chair. She was like, yes! Congratulations! I look forward to having you. Yeah. Unless you gift it, but doesn't look like Oh, that's wonderful. But bring that back to your organizations. If you know of women that really need the support, I'm telling you, organizations do a great job at identifying high performers. I've been in this, I've done this for many, many years. They identify high performers, they say, we want you to do that with a team of 10 people, but never give them the transitional development that they need. Never give them the foundational development that they need to become strong, confident, not only leaders, but managers too, right? Managers manage the business. You have to have the business acumen, but you also have to know how to connect with people and lead people through inspiration, purpose, and meaningful work. So, consider this as an opportunity for anyone in your organization. I'd love to see you come through. There are limited seats, so reach out. With that said, how are you all feeling? Yay! I want to say thank you to all of you for coming today. Thank you for being part of this amazing experience. For me, it's my first event as Lead Humano. I can't tell you, there's just no words. Like, I'm just really, thank you. I'm just so grateful. And to Esperanza Academy, lead on. You got girls on. Thank you everybody for joining. Make sure you mix and mingle with each other. Please drop me a note. Let me know how you think the day went today. you can, my email is located in the pamphlet, or you can get that right at the front desk. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to leave your Post-it notes.